Not at all. But the second thing is too, if we want to look at things from a scientific, rational and logical point of view, or even philosophical if you want to say. If someone today were to look at, per se, the latest, newest BMW that comes out, and if you know anything about engineering, and you study the details of it or have it described to you in detail, telling you about everything from the outer shell to the innermost intricate parts of it, everything from the mechanical to the hydraulic to the electrical to the HVAC, everything that deals with the engine and the transmission and the braking, the ergonomics inside, you'll see that everything was specifically planned, was engineered, was designed with purpose. And you can't help but appreciate awesome engineering, especially if you're a person who likes cars. And there's an ultimate reality to this, when you can't help but be marveled, amazed, dumbstruck by the awesomeness of the ultimate driving experience. And by the way, BMW, I want some kickbacks for having advertised for you. You're going to have to naturally say, if this is the product, imagine how awesome the actual designers are, the engineers, the people behind it. And I'll give you a very interesting story. Once, the great Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, Allah have mercy upon him, he was approached by some atheists who were influenced by philosophies of different peoples. And they came to him and said, "Oh righteous man, religious person, we want to speak with you, we want to meet with you to discuss the issue of God. We don't believe that there's a God." And he said to them, "Sure." And he said, "Let's meet at this location at this point in time." And they said, "Sure." It's a date. And so those people went, and the Imam was yet to come. And he came very late. And just when they're about to give up and leave, they see the Imam floating down the river on a little raft. And he pulls over and he says to them, "I made it. Thank God." They said, "What happened to you? You're late." He said, "Well, you see, I was standing there next to the river thinking how I'm going to come, when all of a sudden a branch from the tree fell, and then another branch from the river came in, and all of a sudden they combined and string just came out of nowhere and it tied them together, and before you know it, I had this raft in front of me. And I jumped on, and here, lo and behold, I came to you." And they looked at him and said, "Are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? Do you really believe us to expect that that's what happened? Do you take us for fools? Are you mocking us?" And he said, "No, not at all." He said, They said, "We don't believe that one bit." He said, "Then how is it, if you cannot believe a simple example, a simple project of what I mentioned to you, how can you believe that this awesome creation of the world and the universe as a whole, that it just came into being haphazardly? That it came into being without anybody creating it, without anybody designing it, without anybody maintaining it? Without there being that one ultimate God behind it, the source and reason behind it all?" And I ask you, and I ask those who profess to themselves, who are trying to convince themselves that they're atheists, do you really believe that the awesomeness of who you are as a human, that they came out of blindness, leading blindness into further blindness? Absolutely impossible. And even if you look at the reality of probability and statistics, as John Hopkins, the famous scientist, whom the university in Maryland, if I'm not mistaken, that the mathematics behind it show that it is absolutely impossible for the variety, for the diversity, for the specialness of who we are as a human being, composed of different organ systems that all came from one single cell. And so I ask you, and I ask anyone who claims that they're an atheist, to not blame God for the crimes that mankind commits, nor to look to blame religion for the deeds of people, but on the contrary, be a seeker of the truth. learn a bit more about what Islam teaches you, and you'll come to find that with the clarity of Islam, that the problems that plague your mind and plague your heart as so many others, that you'll find healing even though there is tremendous pain and suffering in this world. And you'll find happiness and peace of mind in believing in La ilaha illallah, that there is no God in truth and worthy of being worshipped except for the one God. And we ask Him subhanah, the Almighty, the Glorious, to guide us all and to help clear our minds and our thoughts. He is the one that can answer our prayers and make all things happen. Thank you very much, and until next time, Jazakumullahu khairan, Allah reward you. Wassalamu alaikum.